Good evening. I'm Byron Stripling from the Jazz Arts Group, and tonight we join with the Columbus Urban League, led by Stephanie Hightower, to bring you songs of hope and healing, along with crucial conversations on race. There can be no doubt that we stand at a turning point in history, a reckoning. Racial inequities that have bubbled beneath the surface for decades have now taken center stage. Additionally, filmmaker Ken Burns reminds us that COVID-19 has taken its place alongside the three great crises in American history: the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, and now this devastating pandemic. Additionally, while sitting captive in quarantine, staring at our TVs and computer screens, we couldn't escape the public assassination of George Floyd or the racial unrest that followed. And once those floodgates opened, America realized that other issues long ignored quickly came to the surface. The cycle of economic inequality, brutality inflicted upon innocent people, mass incarceration of black men in for-profit prisons, and access to health care, which of course is vital during a global pandemic. All of these issues have taken center stage. And the reality is that any problem that we choose to ignore will continue to grow exponentially. This time must be different. This time we must courageously confront problems in order to navigate our way towards the great ideal of liberty and justice for all. I've seen courage in my black brothers and sisters targeted by brutality simply for saying that their lives matter. I've seen it in the nonviolent protesters who exercise their constitutional First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. I've seen it in the disenfranchised families during this pandemic, those Americans who often work 2 or 3 jobs, sacrificing and doing whatever is necessary for their families to make a way out of no way. Well, you'll also see courage on display tonight as we feature stories that demonstrate how we can all come together to make the world a better place. Finally, art and music have always been central to enacting change, and music has always moved nonviolent protests forward. It was music that enabled civil rights marchers to endure fire hoses as well as bullets in billy clubs. Protesters quickly learned that the physical act of singing brought hope and inspiration and was the secret weapon that allowed them to endure the struggle for freedom. So the songs and conversations you will hear tonight don't speak of revenge or retribution, but simply demand justice for all. The profound artistic expression of singing dulls the blade of oppression. Rather than carry around the burden of bitterness, the music we sing takes all the anger, rage, hatred, and transforms it into a joyous, passionate symphony of love. That's why we come to you tonight. Love. It's the ultimate salve to heal your wounds. And that's why we sing. When you feel down and out, sing a song. Because what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. Somewhere I read in the Book of Wonder where it says, love's in need of love today. Don't delay and send yours right away. Somewhere I heard, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. I heard my grandmother say, sometimes I look back and wonder how I got over, because I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. So keep your eyes on the prize. And when it's time to lay your burden down, it's time to go down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside. Study, hey, war no more. more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Study, hey, war no more. Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna put on my long red robe. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, gonna put on my long white robe. Down by the riverside, study, hey, war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Study, hey, war no more. Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, gonna put on my long white robe. Down by the riverside, study, hey, war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Study, hey, war no more. Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Down by the river.
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Quan, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me.
Come on, testify, sweetheart.
He's the source of all my joy. He fills me with his love and everything that I need, he sends it down from above. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God
to my pathway is He, and without Him I would fall. I don't know what it means to you, but He's my all and all. Say,
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Oh, God has smiled on me. He's been good. Oh,
He's been good.
He's been good to me.
He's been good.
I got up today.
He's been good.
He sent me on my way.
He's been good.
He's my provider.
He's been good.
He's my protector.
He's been good.
Oh, the light.
He's
He's the
been
light of the world. Yeah, God's my
good.
He's
Been
good,
good.
really, really good.
He's been
Really, really good.
He's been
So good to little old me. Oh, he's been good to me. Oh,
I'm pleased to be joined by a powerful, positive force in our community. A graduate of Ohio State, she even began her law enforcement career on the Columbus campus of OSU. She's also received several honors from Ohio State University Police Division, including a Commendation Award and a Medal of Valor. My friends at the Columbus Urban League insisted I talk to her to get an honest take on the current realities facing our community. Recently appointed on January 1st, 2019, I'm proud to welcome the leader of the Ohio State University Police Division, Chief Kimberly Spears McNatt. Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Byron, and thank you for the opportunity and the offer to participate in this very important conversation.
You know, United States Attorney General Bill Barr has said that while the vast majority of police officers do their job bravely and righteously, it's undeniable that many African Americans lack confidence in our American criminal justice system. And I think Attorney General Bill Barr is correct. However, I'm also reminded of the words of James Baldwin, who often said, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do." And now we've just spoken about the current unrest, and there are certainly incidents like the George Floyd one that come to mind. But can you speak to that lack of confidence that Bill Barr said in his statement? And also, can you reflect on the notion that the current climate that we're in seems so chaotic, but it actually could become a catalyst for change, that like maybe this could offer us an opportunity for the truth to actually liberate us and jumpstart a healing process?
Absolutely. So, I hope real change does come out of this. This is what our community is asking for, and it's law enforcement, because we are part of that community too, that we need to be open to that dialogue, having those conversations. And law enforcement requires you to be very flexible. There's no 2 days the same, but really being open to having those conversations and listening, to the community, and being open to saying, what would it look like to reimagine policing? And all those concepts does not have to be negative, but really saying, let's find this common ground, accept, own the violations that have occurred across the country. You have seen people, rightfully so, voice their opinions. And as a law enforcement, I said, with us being a part of the community, in the community, being willing to have those open conversations, that dialogue. The community wants to trust us and want us to be held accountable. And then as leaders in law enforcement, we should be open to those ideals, to have that transparency, to want to ensure that we're leading and we're providing our community with the best service. And that includes transparency, accountability, that once again, when something does occur, that the community is willing to listen to the explanation. And so not only does the police division need the community also needs the police.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think if I were to have a dream, it would be if I knew my local policeman by name, and I would, and I, when I saw, like, I could give a wave rather than maybe my current reluctance, like, is that guy something gonna happen? Is some interaction that's strange gonna happen? So the community part that you constantly keep saying to me starts to resonate even more, that maybe the beginning of this process is us coming together and actually knowing each other's. And as I said before, knowing our humanity of who we each are as policemen or just layperson like myself. I'm just a trumpet player,
Yeah, and so that's interesting that you say that, Byron, because a lot of individuals or people that I interact with on campus, one of the things they will tell you about me is like, she's not really big on title, being called chief. If you see her, that's just Kimberly, and I think that's how it should be across the board, that when law enforcement show up, it just shouldn't be when things are going wrong, that we're showing up all the time. And so you're not standoffish when you see the uniform, or you don't have any fears. That's just Kimberly, on the campus, or that's just one of her officers. And that is how you start to build those relationships and trust that we shouldn't be at war with our communities. We are there to serve them and help them. And once again, I can't iterate enough that how much we need them and they need us for our future. And you have to be willing to have those conversations and build that trust, and one step at a time. And right now, to be honest, I understand that there is a lot of lack of trust across the world with law enforcement, but there's a lot of good officers who are still out there on the front line, who will respond to the call of service each and every day, because we take pride in our profession and we want to serve the community.
And what specific changes and actions does the layperson like me, and you've already talked about this, need to know to help create a healing relationship with law enforcement, and how can we make those changes feel real and even organic? And also, what does law enforcement need to do to create those same kind of relationships? So if you'd like to speak to that.
I think one of the important things is learning to listen to understand versus listening to respond.
Right.
And a lot of times, people have their own opinions and not really open to, new ideals, but really, not looking to point blame at anyone in general or pointing fingers, but really saying, okay, these are legitimate concerns. They're valid. They have merit. How can we work together to find that common ground? And I think a lot of it has to do with being willing to honestly listen to understand and not respond, and then start to build those relationships.
Right. Well, one final question for you, and it's just simply this. I know that there are stories of OSU police officers demonstrating compassion and love and devotion to serving their community. And ultimately, this is that, as we've been talking about a lot today, the humanitarian side of their work. And we need to hear some of their stories. So is there a story that you can tell us that sort of illustrates that compassion and that love that police officers have for their community?
So I have several stories, but I will give you one collectively about the officers who work at the Ohio State University Police Division. We really do live up to our core values, and on numerous occasions that we will get letters of compliments from parents or friends where our officers had to respond to a situation where an individual may have been in crisis. And the fact that our officers are able to respond with compassion, be able to de-escalate the situation, get the individual the resources and the help that they need. When I see those type of compliments come in about our officers and our agency, I know that we are doing the right things, the right way, for the right reason. One in particular a letter came in from a father thanking our officer who responded and pretty much saved his son's life. Even though his son was combative with the officer was able to help the student, and the father was just very appreciative. And so when you see those type of letters coming in from parents or the community, you know that our officers really do care about the community, that we serve. And for me personally, as a leader, my personal and professional philosophy is, to whom much is given, much is required. And so I don't take the fact that I'm the chief of police for granted, or I'm in this role. And also with me, this whole humanity part is that I'm also a mom. I'm also a wife. And so really treating the public how I would want someone to treat my family members if they had an encounter with law enforcement.
Wow. Well, those are incredible words, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. One thing I know is that you walk your talk, because getting in touch with you, I had some friends that helped me, but it was very easy, and you guys were immediately amenable to having a conversation, and then that speaks to exactly everything that you've been talking to. The interactions with you and your staff have been incredible too. So I just want to thank you for that, but actually taking the time to speak with us. On behalf of the Columbus Urban League, the Jazz Arts Group, we appreciate all you do for our community. Thank you for making us safe. And it's this dialogue that will uplift our community and help us move into the future in a positive way. Thank you again, Chief.
Thank you.
Tragedies are commonplace. All kind of diseases. People are slipping away. Economy's down. People can't get enough pay. As for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Ooh, folks without homes, people are living in the streets. The drug habit, some say, just can't be beat. Now your muggers and your robbers, no place seems to be safe. But I gotta tell somebody today, you've been my protection. Every step of the way, I gotta say, thank you, Lord, for all you've done. Can I say it again? Thank you, Lord, for all you've done. When I look back over my life, I gotta say, thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. 'Cause it could have been me outdoors with no food or no clothes, or all alone without a friend, or just another number in the tragic end. But you didn't see fit to let none of these things be. Every day by your power, you keep on keeping me. I gotta say thank you, Lord, for all you done for me. Hey, it could have been me outdoors, oh, with no food and no clothes, or all alone without a friend, or just another number in a tragic end. You didn't see fit to let none of these things be. Every day by your power, you keep on keeping me. Thank you, Lord, for all you've done for. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I gotta thank you, Lord, for what you done for me. In the midst of a crisis, you always protect me. I gotta say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. It's in order to give you thanks, because you've been a real good God to me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your power. Thank you for protection. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your power. Thank you for protection. Should every say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sitting here with a recent university graduate from Alabama A&M. His degree was in mechanical engineering, and he's currently 23 years old. However, when he was 16 years old, and an honor student, by the way, he was mistaken for a felony suspect. A young man with $1 million smile, a big heart, and a compassionate spirit. I want to welcome to one of our critical conversations. This is the great Xavier Brandon. Xavier, thank you so much for being with us and taking the time. We appreciate that.
Mr. Byron, I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I want you to, because we want to jump on this really quickly. I said that you were a suspect as a felony. Can you tell us all how that transpired and how that became and what that was all about?
Absolutely. Back in 2013, at the conclusion of my sophomore year at New Albany High School, final examinations the time for them had finally came. And I was exempt from my final exams because I had pretty good grades at the time. So I was exempt from finals. However, as a varsity football player, I still had practice and whatnot. So I decided to walk to school. It was approximately about a 5-mile journey for me. It was a great weather and everything. I kind of just wanted to enjoy the walk and stride. So I set off for school, and eventually walking through neighborhoods, very familiar ones at that. There was a white gentleman standing in front of his home. And as I greeted him, because I was always kind of taught, you greet people, and I love people. So I try to greet everyone as I see them. It prompted a "what are you doing" response from this gentleman. And at the time, I didn't think much of it. I simply responded, nothing, just walking. What are you doing? After that awkward exchange, I continued to walk for about another 15 to 20 minutes. And I suddenly heard "get down on the ground now," where I turned around, and to my surprise, I saw an officer with his gun drawn on me. And through that entire process thereafter, I kind of just followed all the instructions, got down on the ground. I was handcuffed. My bag was kind of padded a little bit, and I was kind of asked if I had any jewelry. And then I was kind of walked across the street to where the police cruisers and K9 unit vehicles were, where I ultimately was, kind of asked many questions to kind of vet what was my situation, where, of course, I kind of just shared I was on my way to football practice for school. After being detained for 15 to 20 minutes, there was another officer who arrived on the scene whose son plays football with me, and he was able to further confirm that I was who I said I was, and that there was a lot of validity with my story, so to speak. I think the trauma for me was understanding that our system, our legal system, trainings align in a way that potentially can kill a Black person due to implicit bias, unconscious bias, any of these labels and terms that we kind of, bring to discussion as of now. I think that it deserves a little bit more constructive and objective thought behind it. So the sense that I was traumatized in was, it wasn't like I wake up with cold sweats in the middle of the night, like my life is not, forever changed drastically because of that. But I think what it did was it reaffirmed me that it doesn't matter how much I try to escape the stereotypes of those who become statistics. I think now that it's 2020 and then it was 2013, as I've grown and seen the depths of unarmed Black people or armed Black people or whatever the situation may be, that it doesn't matter how high my GPA was. And this is what I was thinking at the time. It didn't matter how high my GPA was. It didn't matter how well known I was in the New Albany neighborhood. It didn't matter that I was a scholar. It didn't matter that I was raised to be respectful, that I had Southern roots. Like, it didn't matter, right? And I think that's what, from that moment, gave me the further affirmation in my own experiences. I'd always been taught that from my parents, but I understood in that moment that I could have died, and no accomplishment that I had up until that point would have saved my life.
I want to thank you for speaking with us. When I speak to you, I feel that you've forgiven what's happened to you and you've moved on, but you still want to learn the lessons from what happened to you. It's been said by Mark Twain that forgiveness is the fragrance the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Well, you have
Yeah,
certainly given us a great fragrance. Your beautiful smile and the intelligence that you exhibit as you talk to us is inspiring, coming from you. Talking to a young man that like you, that's 23 years of age. I wish I could have spoken as eloquently as you speak at 23. You are simply
I
a
appreciate it.
fantastic young man. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you, because we know that you have a bright future. You had something that happened to you. You took all of that stuff and you shook it up and you made the best of it. And now I think that you have a lesson that you can show and teach other people about. And again, the fact that you have no bitterness, that you've forgiven, will not only move you ahead, but begin to be an example for us. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your smile. And I look forward to hearing big things from you. Xavier, we love you. We'll talk to you very soon.
Lord, help me to hold out. Lord, help me to hold out.
I'm Stephanie Hightower, President and CEO of Your Columbus Urban League. To be free, valued, respected, and welcomed, how little and yet how much we expect from our communities. Fundamentally, as Your Columbus Urban League young professionals recently reminding me, it is about being heard. Nothing stifles our spirit more than to be ignored, overlooked, discounted, or dismissed. The murders of George Floyd and so many others are so egregious, they naturally command an audience. But the quiet suffering of everyday slights, of being met with fear rather than familiarity, of being passed over rather than welcomed in, they too put a chokehold on Black and brown people every day for the last 400 years. When words fail us, music speaks for us. Throughout this history of oppression, music has given expression to the most basic human desires, that of the quest of equality, for fairness, for relevance. Spirituals echo the Old Testament prophets Amos when they called for justice to roll down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. Jazz and blues captures the quest for individual and collective greatness, a natural outcome from this unique, unprecedented, and powerful artistic movement. And then hip hop aggressively spoke to Black pride and an overwhelming impatience with the laborious pace of change. Your Columbus Urban League is delighted to celebrate and commemorate the core connection between music and social justice in this one-of-a-kind event you're going to hear tonight. We're so proud to partner with the Jazz Arts Group this evening, just as we are proud that we have stood for social justice and racial equity for 102 years in this community. Together, we can create real recovery, reform, and long-term resiliency that makes economic opportunity real for everybody in our community. Please join us for this life-changing work.
From the late 1800s to about 1968, about 3,500 innocent Black men and women were lynched. The victims would be publicly tortured while a hungry crowd looked on. Eyes would be gouged out, fingers and toes removed, which were then given out as souvenirs. When the deed was done, the victim was often soaked with gasoline and then publicly burned. These were family affairs. And like a sporting event, children were hoisted on their parents' shoulders to get a better view. In 1930, a writer for a North Carolina newspaper observed, "Men joked loudly at the sight of the bleeding body. Girls giggled as flies fed on the blood that dripped from the Negro's nose." Lynchings were also documented with photos, which then became postcards. One postcard had written on the back, "This is the barbecue we had last night." My great uncle told me that when he traveled overseas, the Europeans kept looking at his posterior. Finally, he asked them why, and they said, "Well, we were told that Black people had tails." June 30th, 2020, a USA Today opinion piece called the George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery incidents modern-day lynchings. Only this time, they were viewed from our homes. Bob Dylan sang, "How many times can a man turn his head pretending he just doesn't see?" I'm fully aware that this discussion is uncomfortable, but will this uncomfortableness lead to denial or actionable change? That's why artists create and perform protest songs.
Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blind on the leaves and blind at the root. black bodies swinging through the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh, and the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the trees to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning in thee. Thou changes not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been and forever will be. So great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Every time I wake up in the morning, new mercies I see. All that I needed thou hand has provided. So great is thy faithfulness, O God, unto thee. So great is thy faithfulness, O great is thy faithfulness. So every time I get a chance to wake up in the morning, a new mercies I see. Oh, is thy faithfulness. So great is thy faithfulness. I get happy that the Lord, he's always faithful to me. So great is thy faithfulness.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I wanna hear some Quan Howell right here now.
Hey, everywhere I go, said I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Come on, Phil Clark. Come on out here.
You know what? I ain't no gonna take it away. No, because I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't nobody gonna take it away. That deep joy, I know I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, I'm gonna shine it all over the world. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Shine. Whoa, whoa.
Shine, 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 shine.
We gotta let it. We need to let it shine. Shine, 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 shine. Help me say, shine,
Don't take it away.
shine.
Shine. Love, love, love.
Yeah. I said I'm gonna tell nobody, but I couldn't keep it to myself. Hey, let me hear some Bobby Floyd right here. One more time, Bobby Floyd. Come on now. Bring it on down for me. Just vamp it a little bit. Vamp it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we sure do hope that you've enjoyed listening to us as much as we've enjoyed performing for you. It's been swell and you've just been marvelous. But right about now, we need to thank the band. Would you please join me in thanking on the bass the great Andy Woodson right there. On the drums, we have the great Mr. Reggie Jackson. On the piano and also the Hammond B3 organ. There is no better. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bobby Floyd right here. Our singers, ladies and gentlemen, Sydney McSweeney right there. The great Quan Howell is right there. Phil Clark right there, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Vital for making this happen. We want to thank Kappa for making it happen. We want to thank John Amendola. We want to thank George Barrett. We want to thank the Columbus Urban League. We want to thank the Jazz Art Group. We know that you enjoyed this. Please come see us when we're able to play live, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. 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 Yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
I'm gonna let it shine.